Welcome back to the Bourbon Note, everybody. I'm Ben. I've got an allocated rye on the bar. Let's get into it. So on the bar tonight is, bam, this is E.H. Taylor Straight Rye. So it's allocated, it's from Buffalo Trace. Will it be a disappointment? Let's find out. I've only had this once before. I scored a bottle of it at a charity raffle from the Wright County Whiskey Club over Christmas. So yeah, to be honest, if memory serves, I thought this was good. I didn't think it was great, but I figured I'd grab a bottle while I had the chance from the charity auction. So the reason I say grab a bottle is because there was a few to choose from, so I picked this one when my number got called. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan of E.H. Taylor products in general. It sucks that they're so hard to find, but, what do you do? On the nose, it's got a fairly bold nose. So, obviously, we're rocking 100 proof here because it is bottled in bond. I don't know what an age is on this. But at the 100 proof point, it's got a nice bit of boldness, but I think the flavors on it are fairly kind of standard and I don't know. It's a little odd if I'm being honest. So yeah, I don't know. Let's go in for the palate here, see what happens. Cheers. It's all right. The nose was throwing me for a loop, and I didn't give a lot of notes on the nose, so let's rewind for a second. What was throwing me off is there's almost a little bit of a Play-Doh sort of note in that. There was something I couldn't quite pin down. I think that's what it was. On the palate, it has some nice flavors. It's a standard rye profile. I'm getting a little bit of black licorice, very lightly. That's something I do sometimes get on ryes that are a little heavier on the rye mash bill. Now, I don't know what the mash bill of this is. Just saying, in the past, ryes that have a higher rye mash bill, sometimes those heavier rye notes like the clove, a little bit of black licorice sometimes shows up a little more. I'm getting that from this, but this could be a low rye. I have no idea. But it's got some nice sweetness to it. It's got a little bit of brown sugar sweetness, which I think is just kind of standard in American whiskeys between bourbon and rye. That's just a common note that I tend to get anyway. But yeah, it's good. I just don't know if it's anything special. And, I don't really expect these to be anything special because, at the end of the day, it's a bottled in bond rye. I mean, it's not like just because it has an E.H. Taylor label on it, there's something crazy about the whiskey inside the bottle. It's just a bit overhyped. So let's get in for a second sip here, see what happens. So on the second sip, yeah, I mean, it's a good whiskey, but to be honest, there's not a lot to say about it. It's a fairly standard, right down the middle rye whiskey. It kind of just has all the general rye notes. They're well balanced, but there's nothing really standing out. So this one, I mean, aside from all the hype and stuff, this one runs about, I think they're like 50, 60 bucks or something. I think they're supposed to be. And at that price, would I buy it again if they were just available on the shelf all the time? I probably wouldn't, to be perfectly honest. It's good, but it's just, I don't know. It's fairly standard, I will say that. There's certainly nothing bad about it at all. And when I review an allocated whiskey like this, I tend to try to just set the allocated status aside as far as like the tasting of it. I mean, you obviously have to talk about it when you get into like value and the hype around it and stuff like that. But I try to give the whiskey itself a fair shot because, it's not the whiskey's fault that it got overhyped. So that being said, it's a good whiskey. It's right down the middle. It's nicely balanced. It kind of has a lot of standard rye notes, and that's really about all I can say about it. Let's go in for one more sip before we get out of here. So on that last sip, a little more of an oak note. So yeah, there's a multitude of flavors that are kind of just taking turns, showcasing themselves. Like I said, it's pretty well balanced. There's a decent amount of different flavors going on, but they all kind of balance together. They make a nice, good quality whiskey. Getting into the hype, and I wouldn't pay secondary prices for any bottle. I really just don't like to participate in that. But this, if you're buying this just for the whiskey inside, don't pay secondary prices for this. This is definitely not worth spending. You know, if you want to spend a little extra money because you just want to, you know, complete your E.H. Taylor collection or whatever, you know, hey, it's your money, you do what you want with it. But if you're buying it just because you're expecting this to be, you know, the rye that's going to knock your socks off because it's allocated and it's from Buffalo Trace, it's not that. But it is just a really good, well-balanced, right down the middle rye. But to be honest, there's just really nothing special about it either. It's got some nice oak notes, some nice black pepper, a little bit of those vanillas, kind of that, you know, a light black licorice note that I tend to get on higher rye ryes, and just kind of like the general rye spice notes are just kind of right down the middle. I know I keep saying that, but that's just the best way to describe this whiskey. So let me know how you would describe this whiskey in the comments if you've had it. This has been E.H. Taylor Straight Rye on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you on the next one.